Afternoon, Kate's our president with Robbie Ring, who's coming off a co-main event win at Aries Fighting Series. Robbie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be talking with you. Man, it's been 5 days since your fight. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm still on top of the world. Got to get back into the gym. I got back from Nashville, Tennessee on Tuesday. I got to have a little vacation with my fiance, but I'm back in the gym, feeling good. No injuries. I'm still ready to go.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let's talk about it. Beat Jacob Kilburn, former UFC fighter. We'll get to that in a little bit, but what was your game plan going into the fight?
So my coaches put together a game plan to. We knew Jacob had heavy hands, um, good striker. He's pretty quick. Um, and we definitely knew that he threw a lot of kicks. So the game plan was to threaten him early with the takedown, which I did right off of the bat. I caught a kick and took him down. I felt like that kind of had it in his mind that I could take him down anytime I wanted to. It started to open up some things on the stand up, which is what my coaches put together for me. And, the game plan was perfect. I said in a few interviews leading up to the fight that I figured that I would break him in the first round and submit him in the second. And that was the game plan. And it was well executed. It was a good plan for the fight.
I mean, absolutely, absolutely. How are you feeling after the fight? Any injuries? Any bumps?
No, he kicked my leg pretty hard a few times. It was sore. It was walking around for about a day after the fight, but it healed up fine and no injuries, which I'm really blessed about.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, you beat Jacob Kilburn, a PFL vet, UFC veteran. How's that feel?
It's crazy. Me being 22 years old. I always watch these guys fighting on TV, and you know, now I put it into perspective that I'm really fighting. I just beat a guy who was fighting on the biggest show in the world. It's really just crazy to me. I always thought that I could be one of the best fighters around, but now it's becoming reality that I'm moving up the ranks. I just beat a guy that was in the UFC, and it's kind of mind blowing to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's a big name on your resume. On top of that, you got to keep your 100% finish rate. How important is that to you?
Oh yeah, it's very important. When somebody says that they're going to watch an MMA fight, you never hear somebody say, "Oh, I can't wait to go watch this guy decision this his opponent tonight." People want to see submissions, they want to see knockouts, and I go in there and I look for the finish. I had a few amateur fights go to decision. I didn't really feel accomplished after those fights, so I try to go in there and get it done so I can feel good about myself.
I mean, it's the quickest ticket to a big show. You go in there, make easy work, and like you said, fans love to see finishes.
Yep.
Um, well, for anybody that does not know your story, how did you get into mixed martial arts?
So I have a pretty interesting story. Both of my parents, they're lifelong martial artists. My mom, she's a black belt in Chuck Norris fighting systems, karate. Not your new school karate where they're doing backflips and 360 tornado kicks. My mom did karate where they actually learned how to fight. Uh, and then my father, he's black belt in Walt Bayless combat jujitsu. I started training very young. Started out with karate. Um, Grew up competing in karate, and then I started doing jujitsu, and I fell in love with that. Jujitsu didn't come as easy to me as karate did. I always won competitions doing karate, but when I was about 8 years old, I remember going to tournaments and getting beat by little girls, and getting my feelings hurt a little bit. But I stuck with it. I'm a black belt in jujitsu now. And that is once I started doing jujitsu, I mixed in my karate with my jujitsu, and it had a good MMA base. At about 14 years old, I moved, transitioned into putting all my attention into mixed martial arts. So I've had the backing of my parents. I've got the stand up training, I've got the ground training. Now we just put it all together.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Thank you for sharing that. What do you remember what the first MMA fight that that you saw was?
Yeah, I think that the year was 2015. I just had turned 15 years old, and so my first MMA fight that I had, if you look on like the national database, it's not there. But it's not because I'm telling you a lie. It's because the state of Virginia didn't recognize MMA fights for anybody under the age of 18. But I fought a guy. His name was Kenny Robinson, and it was actually a really tough fight. I definitely wasn't as skilled back then as I think I am now. I was kind of a chunky kid, you know, tough. I was tough as a pine knot, but I was definitely not as athletic as I am now. But I went in there and I won. Got kicked upside the head in the third round, lost that round, and but I won a decision in that fight.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's awesome to hear. So yeah, man, you're 22 years old. What's next? What do you want to fight? When do you want to fight? Like, when's the perfect time? You got two fights already this year. You want one more?
If the right fight comes around, I'm fine with fighting another time this year. Of course, you know, kind of got my fingers crossed that, you know, a late notice fight might come open in the UFC or a contender series opportunity. Maybe Bellator will give me a call. If I had to, you know, nothing against Bellator or the PFL, but if I had to have my choice within the three, I would definitely hope to be in the UFC. But you know, if an opportunity comes around, and my coaches, my management company, and myself thinks it's a good opportunity for me, I would definitely fight again this year. But right now, you know, I'm just kind of seeing what comes to me. I'm not going out and chasing anything right now. I'm letting the offers come to me.
Awesome, awesome. If you don't get a call from the UFC or Bellator, like, are you looking to jump on like an LFA, a Fury Fighting, something on UFC Fight Pass to get you more eyeballs?
Yeah, if one of those promotions offer me a fight, I would definitely be interested in it. I know that my management company, Iridium Sports, they have connections with all of those shows right there. They know who to get me on to get me to the big show. And I trust them that they're going to know what's best for me.
Awesome, man. That's awesome to hear. And man, at just 22 years old, the sky's the limit for you, man. It's awesome. It's awesome to hear. Yeah, man, it's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Robbie. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
If you want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you might have, you want to thank anybody, the floor is yours.
All right, awesome. First off, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's done a lot for me. I've seen him do a lot for a lot of other people in my life too. So I'd like to give him all the glory first and foremost. My team, Ring Combat Sports, my mom and dad, Kim and Greg Ring, they put together one heck of a game plan for this fight on last Saturday. It was perfect. You know, it couldn't have went more smooth as than it did. I like to thank some of my sponsors. Thank you to Chris Fox at Berkshire Hathaway, Kevin Varney at Varney Construction, and Matt Hollinsworth at Old North Roofing and Construction. Thank you all for y'all sponsorships for me, for helping me out. And then if you want to keep up with me, I'm on Facebook at Razor Robbie Ring, and I'm on Instagram at Razor Rob MMA. Those are my two main platforms that I use. And thank you for having me on the show today.